watch tonight when the Bucks take on the Heat. If the Heat win tonight, the Nets will lock themselves into that 2 seed in the Eastern Conference playoff picture. Now, after getting down 12-0 to start the game, Ian Eagle also wondered if the alarm clock had gone off for the Nets. The role of a very loud buzzer was played by one Kyrie Irving, who scored 13 points in a span of about 5 minutes as the opening quarter passed the halfway point. After being one of 8 Nets to score in double figures when the Nets defeated the Bulls 4 days ago in Chicago, Kyrie was in his bag versus the shorthanded squad from the Windy City. It was the kind of performance you love to see, with the Nets still fighting to clinch that 2nd seed in the Eastern Conference as the postseason looms large, and it's not too far down the road right now as we take a look at some numbers for Kyrie for today's game. He had 20 of those 22 points in the first half, so just 2 points in the second. He didn't have to do a lot of heavy lifting because the bench also came to play today along with the big three. Kyrie and Kevin Durant and James Harden in action with him today, as we just mentioned, making it the first time since February 13th that the big three were all in action for the Nets. Getting them back into a good flow together is priority 1 for Brooklyn as the squad looks towards the postseason. We take a look at what the big three did today against the Bulls. Harden had 5, Durant had 12, Kyrie had 22, as we just mentioned, 20 of those coming in the first half. But the bench came correct as well. We heard Ian and Sarah talking about that as the game was coming to a close. That's what the Nets have to have in the playoffs, too. They have to have their bench mob score points as well and be just as much of a threat as the big three. Now, along with the big three and Blake Griffin, Bruce Brown occupied one of the spots in the Nets starting lineup this afternoon. It was the 4th consecutive game for Brown in the first unit, and just like he does when he's being used in a reserve capacity, Brown provided important energy and hustle. He's the kind of player who has done little things all year long, making huge contributions to the success Brooklyn has enjoyed. We know that the attention of opposing teams will focus heavily on the Nets superstar trio in the playoffs, so there will be opportunities for Brown to leave his mark just like he did in today's matchup. As the regular season approaches the finish line, Brown continues to capitalize on his chances to contribute, embodying the spirit of the Nets' stay ready crew that is willing to handle any responsibilities they are given. And Brown with another double-double for himself there. His last 3 games now, he had 15 and 10, 14 and 11, and 16 and 12 today. 8 of 13 from the field and 3 assists. Time for a break on the post-game show, but stay with us. When we come back, we'll hear what Ian Eagle and Sarah Kustok have to say about today's win in Brooklyn for the big three and company.
The Nets post-game show on Yes is brought to you in part by your local Ford stores. For a great deal.
Jeff Green getting set with the headset. Jeff Green joining me right now. Jeff, how did it feel getting the big three back together and being this close to full strength, as close as you've been in quite some time?
It felt good. We needed this game to try to get some chemistry with them back on the floor. So we came out, played hard, and we got the dub.
One more game left in this season. We know you guys have incredible talent, but what are some other qualities that this team has that makes it so special?
We got a lot of guys who can score. Everybody looks at the big three, and, they always focus on them. But we got a lot of guys who can put the ball in the basket. We got guys who can play both ends. So, we got a lot of weapons. So, it's tough to scout for us.
Well, you're one of those weapons. You had 19 points, couple of dunks, matched your season high with 5 3-pointers in the game. How would you describe the rhythm you were able to get into today?
My teammates fouled me. I was just trying to be aggressive, make the open shot. They were falling tonight, so I just kept shooting. So, it was a good feel. So I'm just glad we won.
Last one for you real quick. What excites you most about the playoff run you guys are about to embark on?
That we got everybody healthy, and it's going to be fun. We got a lot of guys who are hungry to try to get this championship and get on this run. So, it's going to be fun. We got a tough task ahead, but I think we're going to be ready.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for your time, Jeff.
No problem.
Bert?
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Jeff Green was outstanding. Every time the Nets needed a bucket, Green was there to supply it. for Brooklyn. A lot of smiles. Another win on the board to improve to 47-24 on the season. Time for the dunks of the game, presented by Bigelow Tea.
You just heard from the man, Uncle Jeff, with the throwdown. Left hand, slicing through the lane, dicing up the Bulls defense. You can go left, you can go right. One. A little more aggression to it in the throwdown as Green eyes the basket. Those are your Bigelow Tea dunks of the game.
And now the Land Rover drive of the game.
Oh, it's not a game without a Kyrie left-handed finish. And take a look. On the break, just going right by two Bulls defenders. A little in and out action. And fending off one defender. Smooth finish to close it out. I mean, this is just a thing of beauty. Something that we can't get enough of for your Land Rover drive of the game.
That wraps it up from Barclays Center. Once again, our final score, 105-91. The Nets defeat the Chicago Bulls, trying to close in on the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. Join us again tomorrow night on Yes, where the Nets host the Cleveland Cavaliers. Our coverage begins at 6:30 with a pregame game time, just after 7 o'clock. For Sarah Kustok, Michael Grady, our entire Yes Network crew, I'm Ian Eagle, Chris Sheeran in the postgame right now.
Thank you very much, Bird. Welcome back into our Yes Network studios. Well, the Nets did their part. They won right now. Move and off the glass. Great move there by Kyrie. Welcome back on the postgame show. Prior to action, Steve Nash praised the way his team has stayed focused all season, regardless of who has and hasn't been active. 37 different starting lineups this year, by the way. Then and the Nets defeated Chicago today, 105-91. Here's head coach on today's win.
Steve, just going back to the beginning, when you got down 12-0, took that quick timeout, what did you kind of say to them in that spot?
Just try to put pause on the game and let them, get going a little bit. It's a typical game that, Zach LaVine announced out, and, I think it was a late game in the season, and we kind of came out flat. So just wanted to make sure we took a pause there before it got any worse and reset, and the guys responded.
Malika Andrews with ESPN.
Steve, as a whole, you said yesterday that you thought maybe one thing you wanted to get is just a chance for guys to build a little bit more chemistry and camaraderie. Did you think they got that chance? Was it what you expected?
Yeah, like I said, I think before the game, it's just time. You can't it's not like, what do I expect? You just they gotta be out there, feel each other, play together, and hopefully that little bit of time today will help move that process forward more quickly than not having that time today. So, wasn't a great game. We weren't very sharp, but we got the job done, and we move on to tomorrow, one last game, and we can hopefully have a good performance and be ready for the nice week of practice.
Thank you.
Alex Schiffer with The Athletic.
Hey, Steve, 3 straight double-doubles for Bruce, and then Nick's also had a good week for you. Just what have you seen out of those guys lately?
Yeah, Bruce and Nick were outstanding. Big reason why we won tonight. Their energy, both ends of the floor, they were great. So, game ball goes for those two. They played really hard, really competitive, disrupted things defensively, and were effective offensively as well.
Brian Lewis with The New York Post.
Hey, Steve. I'm curious, do you think the 12-0 to start the game, do you think that was more, maybe as you alluded to, guys coming out a little flat than it was a unit that hadn't played together in 3 months being out of sync? And how much do you think, you guys can get out of this game, even if your big three don't play together tomorrow?
Yeah, like I said, I think the fact that they're on the court together is positive. Just a chance to feel it, so it's not so brand new when we start next weekend. But I thought we were just flat to start the game. Frankly, I don't know that I could blame it on the fact that they haven't played together for a while. I just thought we weren't ourselves. We weren't sharp. We weren't firing in all cylinders. So, but we got out of the way. That's the way I look at this game. We got a win and we got it out of the way. It wasn't great, but here we are with one game left and in a good position to be the second seed.
Greg Logan with Newsday.
Steve, if Milwaukee wins tonight and you guys have to win to get the number tomorrow before they play later at night, can you say whether or not the big three will all play tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll consider it. It's just a matter of how they come through. You know, how do they feel in the morning and are they available? But if we need that win tomorrow, we're not adverse to those guys playing tomorrow as well.
Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, not the best performance from the big three tonight, but when you look at the contributions that you get from everybody else, I mean, it kind of looked like the second unit and kind of just the supporting cast carried the team tonight. Is this kind of why you have the Stay Ready group and why you task guys on being ready all year in case guys come out flat so you can have that second unit to lean on?
Exactly. You know, it's important, especially with so many games this year. We've had so many different lineups. You know, guys have got to stay prepared and be ready to jump in at a moment's notice. And in certain nights, you know, our bench has got to give us a lift. That's the nature of the game of basketball. It can't always be the starters that are going to win the game. Sometimes you need an individual to step up, a group to step up, and your bench to play well. You know, if you have a strong bench, a bench that can perform consistently, you're a much better team.
Last question, back to Malika Andrews.
Steve, we've heard from various players about how much they care or trying to not look at the seeding in the playoffs. At this point, is this where you are able or you allow yourself to kind of zero in on that maybe a little bit more than you did a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we just have one game to win, and we control our own destiny as far as the second spot. So, you know, we think that's positive. If we can win that game, it's much better than not being the second seed. And so it's a little advantage we can create, and it just comes down to concentration, effort, and trying to close this deal tomorrow. So, yeah, we definitely want it. We're here, and we'll see what happens tonight with the scores. But tomorrow we'll be prepared to come out and win a ball game.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thoughts from head coach Steve Nash there. The big three back in action for the first time since February 13th. The Nets with their 47th victory of the season. When we come back, more from Barclays Center right after this.
How much do you think, I guess, you guys can get out of this game, even if your big three don't play together tomorrow?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think the fact that they're on the court together is positive. Just a chance to feel it, so it's not so brand new when we start next weekend. But you know, I thought we were just flat to start the game. Frankly, I don't know that I could blame it on the fact that they haven't played together for a while. I just thought we weren't ourselves. We weren't sharp. We weren't firing in all cylinders. So, but we got out of the way. That's the way I look at this game. We got a win and we got it out of the way. It wasn't great, but here we are with one game left and in a good position to be the second seed.
Greg Logan with Newsday.
Steve, if Milwaukee wins tonight and you guys have to win to get the number tomorrow before they play later at night, can you say whether or not the big three will all play tomorrow?
Yeah, we'll consider it. It's just a matter of how they come through. You know, how do they feel in the morning and are they available? But if we need that win tomorrow, we're not adverse to those guys playing tomorrow as well.
Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News.
Hey, Coach. Obviously, not the best performance from the big three tonight, but when you look at the contributions that you get from everybody else, I mean, it kind of looked like the second unit and kind of just the supporting cast carried the team tonight. Is this kind of why you have the Stay Ready group and why you task guys on being ready all year in case guys come out flat so you can have that second unit to lean on?
Exactly. You know, it's important, especially with so many games this year. We've had so many different lineups. You know, guys have got to stay prepared and be ready to jump in at a moment's notice. And in certain nights, you know, our bench has got to give us a lift. That's the nature of the game of basketball. It can't always be the starters that are going to win the game. Sometimes you need an individual to step up, a group to step up, and your bench to play well. You know, if you have a strong bench, a bench that can perform consistently, you're a much better team.
Last question, back to Malika Andrews.
Steve, we've heard from various players about how much they care or trying to not look at the seeding in the playoffs. At this point, is this where you are able or you allow yourself to kind of zero in on that maybe a little bit more than you did a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we just have one game to win, and we control our own destiny as far as the second spot. So, we think that's positive. If we can win that game, it's much better than not being the second seed. And so it's a little advantage we can create, and it just comes down to concentration, effort, and trying to close this deal tomorrow. So, we definitely want it. We're here, and we'll see what happens tonight with the scores. But tomorrow we'll be prepared to come out and win a ball game.
Thanks, Coach. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
Thoughts from head coach Steve Nash there. The big three back in action for the first time since February 13th. The Nets with their 47th victory of the season. When we come back, more from Barclays Center right after this.
The Nets post-game show on Yes is brought to you in part by...
We are recapping the Nets and Bulls right now, but at 4 o'clock, Yes is going to bring you the second part of today's New York sports triple header with Major League Soccer. There'll be a tape-delayed matchup between NYCFC and Toronto FC, with the boys in blue trying to extend a 3-game unbeaten streak. Welcome back on the postgame show. Once the Nets shook off their slow start, they got things going and were able to hold off a Chicago team that fought hard. Let's head back to the arena now for some final thoughts from Ian and Sarah on the Nets' 105-91
Thank you, Chris.
victory.
Playoff seeding still up in the air, so the Nets need to take care of business. It was a really slow start on the Saturday afternoon for Brooklyn. Chicago was up 12-0. Then the Nets got their footing, big three. They're going to work some things out. They don't have a whole lot of playing time together, just the 8th game they've played collectively. But ultimately, it's about getting wins, and that's what the Nets did against the Bulls.
Yeah, and I think when you look at this game, we know that it's not just about one game or one circumstance, but how it starts to feel as they continue on together. And, there were some things, whether it was Kevin Durant having a rare off day, some of the staggering of what type of lineups they were using, how much they were on the floor together. I think those are just all a part of the feel-out process. You're going to see even James Harden did the things we anticipate him to do. He made some big shots and important shots. He did a nice job orchestrating the offense, getting everyone involved. But when you look the numbers at the stat sheet, I think you're going to see a very different look from these players as they just get more acclimated with each other, the rest of the group. And so what was nice to see, big game from Jeff Green, what Nicholas Claxton was able to do, the important minutes from Bruce Brown. And I think that has been the theme, the others, and how comfortable they are and how much they are willing to really step up when needed. And so overall, I think at the end of the day, for Steve Nash and this group, it was all about getting the win, and that they got done.
And that speaks to team chemistry. Of course, the big three will grab most of the headlines. That's how it works in sports. The major stars tend to get a lot of attention. But what the Nets have done, they've created an atmosphere where everybody feels like they're part of it, and everybody seems genuinely happy for the other guy when they do something well. And that's the sign of a team that's committed. Jeff Green, in his post-game chat with Michael Grady, basically said, hey, we're ready to make a run for a championship. That's the goal.
And that's the start of it, is the buy-in. And from the very beginning of the season, I think the thing that jumped out to me most about this group is just how much they played for each other and enjoyed one another, both on the floor and off the floor. And that type of chemistry is sometimes even tougher to figure out than the chemistry that you're looking to put together on the floor. And for those reasons, it's been fun to watch. I mean, even you said it, Kyrie Irving was the one of the big three that was really carrying the things early on in the game. And we saw so much of his activity on the bench and his celebrations for the rest of the group as the game continued on. So I think, overall, as the trust develops between these players on the floor, you start to feel that and see that. And I think for Steve Nash, that's going to be such a major factor of what he understands out of the other players. Because there will come a point where James, Kevin, Kyrie, you know what you're going to get out of him. But Steve Nash, I think, has developed a lot of trust in some of the other players top to bottom in this roster.
In a season that has had the most unique set of circumstances in NBA history, we're somehow hitting the finish line. It's the last game of the regular season tomorrow against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yet to see exactly what's going to be at stake, but then the Nets know they're going to have a stretch off before the playoffs get get underway in earnest.
Yeah, so I think that's going to be interesting pending what happens with the Milwaukee-Miami game tonight and how that sits, the options they will have. We know that there has been some different looks of whether or not Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, and of course James Harden coming back for the injury would play in the second of a back-to-back. I think you should feel pretty happy if you're as a performance team in this organization where the minutes were at here today, because it feels like there are options with what you need to do. But overall, yeah, I mean, it's really hard to believe that the season already now is coming to a close for the regular season, and the main stage and what these players have really had so much focus on is about to be here. But it is first about making sure that you finish things off the way that you want to, so you have some time here as you get set for that first round.
11 straight home wins against Eastern Conference opponents for the Brooklyn Nets. They're 23 games over 500 and wrapping things up.
Time for Benijah Laney had 30 points in her Liberty debut. She was a free agent signing for the New York Liberty in the offseason. And rookie Michaela Onyenwere, she had 18, which was a New York Liberty rookie record in her debut. So lots going right for Walt Hopkins and company. And our next Liberty telecast will be exclusively on the Yes app, 7 o'clock against the Minnesota Lynx on Tuesday night. And then you could watch the tape delay of that after Yankee coverage. Now back to the Nets now. And Kevin Durant just met the media a short time ago. Let's get one of the big three's thoughts on the Nets' win today over the Bulls.
What are some things from your perspective that you know that you want to clean up on as a group to have a long, successful postseason run?
I think the offensive rebounding is one thing that we can develop, get better at. Continue to keep building on the defensive effort we had the last week or so. But for us, it's moving the basketball, rebounding at a high level, and making the right play on the offensive side. So we take care of those things, we're in good shape.
Given all that you guys have been through this season, is it wild to have one game left and you guys are as close to full strength as you've been in quite some time?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long season, full of ups and downs when it comes to, lineups and having all our guys on the same page. But it's good to get everybody healthy. It's good to get some minutes with everybody. And, we're going to keep building from here.
Greg Logan with Newsday.
Kevin, is there any concern? It seemed like everybody was a little bit rusty, not used to playing with each other. Going into the playoffs, there's nothing you can do about it now. Is there any concern about what it's going to take to just get rid of that rust and get comfortable with each other again?
To be honest, man, I think the timing of the game, just the significance of the game, probably was, can be a factor into, I guess, rust. But I think they started off the game hot, but we came down and held them 34% shooting. After that, we were all on the same page defensively. And offensively, we missed some looks, especially me. But for the most part, we moved the basketball, low turnovers. I feel like we was in rhythm. But if we'd have made them shots, if I'd have made some shots tonight, it would have looked better overall. So, but I think we're in a solid groove.
Brian Lewis with the New York Post.
Hey, Kevin, I apologize. My audio's acting up. So I'm curious if the Bucks-Miami game that's going to be going on later tonight, if the Bucks win that and keep the pressure on you guys, would you expect to be playing tomorrow, or is that something that's still kind of up in the air?
Yeah, I expect to play. We want to finish the season off, so I'm sure we all looking at that game and seeing what happened. And just for rhythm and, just to get back on the court again, I want to play. So, but we'll see what happens tonight. Like I said, I always trust the coaches and training staff to make the right decisions. But as a basketball player, I definitely want to be out there regardless.
Malika Andrews with ESPN.
Hey, Kevin, in the conversation of sort of the hypothetical in the week you have to study versus the in-game experience and chemistry building, what does this one game, even if it's just one more, do for you versus having this week to kind of prepare and look at film, but not have a live opponent to play more games with groups you haven't played a ton with this season?
If we're on the same page on the defensive side of the ball, which we've been, and the offense has started to come around as we get more comfortable and guys get more minutes. James been on a minute restriction, so he's been in and out the lineup. Still finding his groove. We all just trying to put it together on the offensive side, but defensively, I think that's when we take strides and we talking and covering for each other, and that's the mark of a connected and a team with good chemistry. If you could do it on the defensive side.
Christian Winfield with the New York Daily News.
Hey, what's going on, Kevin? Got two for you. First, obviously, it's only been seven and a half games or whatever that you and James and Kyrie have been able to play together. Does it still feel new in a way, or does it feel like it's been there for a while?
No, not really. We all been playing the game for a while, so I feel like we can adjust and adapt as time goes on, and injuries kept us away from playing with each other, but mentally we were always locked in and try to figure out different ways to play. Our voices were loud on the bench when we were injured. Guys are always talking in the film room, so it's just a matter of us actually playing minutes now, but we always been in constant communication with each other and trying to figure out the best ways to play.
Got it. And second, can you just talk about how big the second unit was tonight?
Second unit was huge. That confidence that coach gives them to go out there and play fast-paced basketball. They changed the tempo for us, pushed the lead up, defended well, and we're going to need that from them.
Alex Schipper with The Athletic.
Kevin, Christian just kind of touching my question, but Bruce has had 3 straight double-doubles for you guys. Nick has had a pretty good week for you guys too. Just what have you seen out of those two in particular lately?
Yeah, I think they're doing a great job of being available. A lot of teams, last couple of weeks, I feel like a lot of teams are selling out to stop our actions at the three-point line or in our spots to score, and those guys are coming available and making shots, but also doing a great job of switching out defensively, rebounding and boxing out. Those two are really our spark plugs when they come off the bench, and we're going to need that from them.
Thanks, Kevin.
That's all for the Brooklyn Nets postgame show. Once again, our final score, Nets 105, Bulls 91. There's just one regular season game left, and coverage of the action between the Nets and Cavs will get started here on Yes and the Yes app tomorrow night at 6:30. For our entire team, I'm Chris Sheeran. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.